Let's talk strategy. Starting with guessing strategy. So, when is it worthwhile to guess? And what does the guessing penalty really mean? On your high school test, you're probably used to giving every question a guess because it's better to put something there, right, rather than to leave it blank. But on the SAT, all of that changes. Random guessing won't get you anywhere. On average, random guessing will net you exactly 0. So remember, random guessing gets you nowhere. Instead, it's just going to waste your time. But think about it this way. If random guessing gives you, on average, exactly the same score as not guessing at all, then anything slightly less than random is definitely going to help you. So remember this rule, write it down, because this rule is very important. If you can eliminate even one answer choice, it's always in your best interest to guess. You still awake? Wait, I think I hear your mom coming. Okay, just kidding. But if that didn't perk you up, well, this will. This is the best strategy yet, and that's why we saved it for last. This strategy is something we call question control. And it's arguably the single most important strategy anyone can give you on the SAT. It is the mother of all strategies. It's like the goose that laid the golden egg, or the Ponzi scheme, where you always get something for nothing. Every single good test prep course is going to teach you this strategy, because for most people, it can give you a higher score without learning any new material. Does that sound good to you? This is a strategy that will give you a higher score by asking you to do less work. So what is question control? Well, it means that by answering less questions, almost anyone can instantly raise their score. That doesn't sound right, does it? How can that be right? And it's because you're going to strategically do less. Have you noticed, for example, that sometimes you're going to spend the most time on a tricky question? You'll guess, and then you'll second guess yourself, and then finally you're going to get the question wrong anyway. So basically you're spending all this time, and the end result is no gain. Now think about the problems that you made all those careless errors for. These are the questions that you actually do know how to solve. And you would have gone right too, if only you had an extra moment to check yourself. You see, these careless error questions are the questions you should be getting, but you aren't, because for some reason or another, you're spending way too much time on the questions that you can't get right anyway. So now think to yourself, what if you skipped all the hardest questions on the SAT? If that's something that sounds good to you, then maybe question control can save you. What if I told you you can always skip the 10 hardest questions in math? You always can do that. And that's your rule. Well, then you'd be pretty happy, right? Because maybe you're horrible at probability questions. Maybe you're so bad that the more time you spend thinking about probability questions, the lower the probability you have of getting them right. If that's your personal scenario, then you're never ever going to do a probability question again. You're just going to skip them. And then you would take all that extra time you saved to really slow down and read each question carefully. You're basically going to spend more time on every question you do, increasing your chances of getting it right. The extra time will really help you eliminate careless errors. Okay, so now I know everybody is different. We all have different goals and we're all missing different amounts of questions. But skipping questions will help almost everybody improve their score. Take a look at this chart on the screen and find your goal score range for each subject. And then scroll over to see how many questions you should skip for each of the 3 sections. For example, if my goal score for critical reading was 620, I'd consider skipping 5 to 10 questions on my next exam. Okay, I'm going to give you a few minutes now for you to figure out how many questions you should skip for each of the 3 sections. When you find your answer, jot those 3 numbers down in your notebook so you can remember them later. Got them? Okay, so on your next practice test, I want you to test out this question control strategy by strategically skipping the right amount of questions. Why don't you try it and see how much better you do? If you only remember one thing from today's lecture, I want you to remember this. The question control strategy is your friend. This strategy is so effective that most students who use it correctly instantly improve their score with no further work. You like that? Less work, more points. So I'm going to repeat it one more time because it's that important. Most students should not answer all questions on the SAT. Instead, they absolutely need to know how many questions they need to answer in order to get their goal score. And then they use this knowledge to strategically skip the questions that are hard for them and spend more time on the questions that they have a good shot at. Do this correctly, and there's only one direction your score can go. And that direction is not down. No. If you need help figuring out your personal question control number, we'll work with you individually in our live focus workshops.